Good morning, everyone. My name is Annika Snead. I'm originally from Germany, in the US for 11 years. It's my first SharkFest, so thanks for having me. Sherry looked at me yesterday evening and was like, "Don't you want to do a shark bite?" I'm like, um, sure. Then I went for dinner, then I went to bed, and then at midnight I remembered, shit, what am I going to talk about? So I just kind of sent her the one picture. So I know everybody had great presentations, everything. I'm going to freestyle it. While it's like I have my master's in biotechnology, during that time, I had no clue how computers are working, what the network is. The internet was, oh yeah, it's out there. I can send emails, and that was about it. Um, I was able to do basics in Excel, Word, and Outlook, and that was all it. And if you would have told me 20 years ago I'm in IT and I'm standing here, I would have said like you sniffed something you shouldn't have. So I knew I didn't want to do that for the rest of my life, but I finished my master's, I got my diploma on the wall and everything. And then I kind of thought like, okay, what else do I do? And I really like teaching, but I would not teach high schoolers. I'm not going to kind of force somebody to listen to me who doesn't want to listen. So there was a company in Germany, and they're like, "Hey, it's like we're doing IT classes for grown-ups. You want to give it a go?" And I looked at it like, "Okay, this is like the blind leading the blind. This is like, are you sure you want to kind of give that a try?" And they're like, we can teach you content, we can teach you a topic, but you can't teach a person how to teach. Either way, you're good in teaching, or you're not. A lot of people are out there super smart. They're all the way back here, up here. Your students are down here. But if you can't come down to the level of your students, take their hand and take them up, it doesn't matter how great you are. You all probably have coworkers, bosses, other people you worked with where you're like, "Hey, how are you doing this?" And they look at you, how can you not understand that? Because they can't come down to the level where they need to be to pick you up. So I kind of figured, hey, I'll give it a go. So I was sitting through all kind of classes, Cisco ICND 1 and 2. I was doing labs. I had a great mentor. And after 6 months was my first class I was teaching. It was a in-house made class, TCP IP. Um, I almost threw up the first morning. I was so nervous. And as soon as I started talking, I was like, whew, okay, I can do this. I was very confident in my capabilities. And I explained the shit out of some ARP and how it works. In the lunch break, my mentor, who was monitoring that session, kind of pulled me and says, like, you are aware that you flipped this script completely on how it works. And I was not aware of that. So the next morning in the repetition, I didn't really mention it, but we repeated it in the right way. And 18 years later, I'm still surprised that nobody said something. But they accepted how it is. So for the next 7 years, I was a certified Cisco instructor, traveled all over Europe, mainly for the US military. There were spots I had never heard, and I lived my entire life in Europe. And one of the most awesome places was that the German Bahn, like their train system, they had invited me as an instructor on-prem, and their headquarters is in Hamburg. As maybe many of you know, Hamburg was really badly destroyed during the Second World War, but their building was still fairly intact, and they had 3 levels into the ground. And in my Cisco classes or in all classes, I would always say, like, oh, yeah, it's like there's something like frame relay, but you're probably never going to see that in the wild. There was something like X25, but you're probably never going to see that. There's something ATM, you're not going to see that. So I came to the to German Bahn in their headquarters, and one of the first things I saw was a Pater Nostra. Anybody knows what that is who's not from Europe? I have one hand. So it's the predecessor of an elevator, and it's moving constantly. So it's open in the front. There are no doors or anything. There are platforms, and you literally step in. So it's similar like with Ross and the chair lift, but instead of setting up and into it, you step forward into it. And no, if you go all the way to the top, it's not going to flip you over and you're falling. It brings you over. So for 5 minutes, I was driving Pater Nostra. And in one of the breaks, one of my students says, "You want to see something really cool?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." He's like, "But you can't take pictures. You can't take videos." And I was like, "Okay, cool." So we went in the basement. And the farther down we went, the more stuff we found. They still had active frame relay. They had active X25. They had active ATM. And then he was like, "Okay, so in the next room, you really can't take a picture." And I was like, "Okay." And we went into this room. It was a huge wall full of, it almost looked like power breakers with stickers on. And I was like, "What is all this?" And he's like, "This is something of signaling." And I was like, "Okay, kind of explain to me the something." And he's like, "We're not sure." Because during World War II, a lot of documentation got lost. So they have this room, which is roughly from here to the wall and maybe the first row, full of lines with cables and these breakers. Nobody has a clue where in Germany they're going to. They only know there are still signals on some of those lines. And so, golden rule, if you don't know, don't touch it. And there were a bunch of little stickers. And I was like, "What are those stickers about?" And he kind of peeled one back a little bit, and there was a Schwarzenegger on there. So we all know that those things are somewhere from the mid to late 30s. And I was like, "Okay, so in Germany, it's against the law to kind of show the symbol." So they had, since they couldn't change them out, since they don't know what they're doing, they put stickers on it. And they said, more or less, we're just kind of hoping they're not breaking. And when one of those breaks, we're just kind of wait till somebody starts screaming. And that's all you can really do. So yeah, it was kind of a nice ride. And then when I moved to the US, I kind of figured I kind of switch over to the dark side and become a network admin myself and do what I was preaching for 7 years. And that's how I made it here. Like I said, I had awesome time. Thank you so much for Sherry and everybody on the team for organizing that and for having the product out here. I think we're all appreciating you guys more than you think. Thank you, guys.